Arsenal return to Premier League action, and I'm not Cecil, so I'm not going to give you some fancy intro, and I couldn't even if I tried, but we miss you, Cecil. I'm here with Lee, I'm here with Laurie. It's Wolves away. It's the first away game in, 5 of the last games have all been at home.
So it's Brighton, isn't it?
Brighton on the 4th of Jan, I think it was. And obviously before that we had Brentford away. Arsenal back on the road against a side that, let's face it, aren't having the season they'd have wanted, have a new manager, just lost at the Bridge. I thought Chelsea were deserving of that win, but have, star quality. One of their players and some of their star quality were actually trying to bring to the Emirates, if you believe some reports. So let's go into it. We'll chat about Wolves' form a little bit, but really it's all about Arsenal and how they can build on what they did in the Champions League in midweek. Laurie, over to you first. You weren't particularly encouraged about the win on Wednesday night, but does it not really matter, or do you think it could be momentum shaping for the Wolves game?
No, slight correction. I was enthused about the win. It's just that I was getting into it with some of my colleagues on the AFTV watch-along yesterday when I said, look, we scored after 2 minutes. Let's be honest, bro. They were not a good team. We should have put them to the sword. And my frustration was twofold. We were still doing a bit too much dilly-dallying, the same old things. And, I was just a little bit worried. I had flashbacks of Saturday against Villa when we were 2-0 up, seemingly coasting. And then we made a couple of mistakes in the space of 8 minutes, concede 2 goals. I was just worried that while the score was 1-0, we hadn't really completed it. We hadn't finished it off. And then there's always a danger that they might break, we might make a mistake. I mean, you saw in that game, Kivior and Timber made 2 pretty significant mistakes that we got away with on the night. Had that been against a better team, we could have got punished. I was a little bit frustrated that we hadn't put it on them more, but to be fair, we scored in the 66th minute, scored it right at the end. 3-0 was fair, even though we didn't exalt ourselves.
I just think, Lee, for the amount of football we've had to play this month, and look, I said, forget even the players. I think we as fans love this sport. We love it. But even I felt it's been a bit relentless and a bit like, catch your breath. There's just so much football going on. Newcastle, that game that, left me so disappointed because we, the first leg at home of a cup semi-final, we've had 4, this will be our 5th game since then. So it's just been kind of relentless football. I can understand Arsenal not being scintillating and yet picking up 3-0 win and confirming their place in the top 8, which was always the requirement for this new Champions League phase for us.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point that we've got 2 Champions League games that we wouldn't normally have in this fixture. But listen, we wouldn't have had 2 semi-finals games, because we're normally out of it by now, right? So I think you have to look at everything. January should be a busy month. If you're successful, January is a busy month, But over the last couple of years, we've all had holidays and breaks and not had lots of games. And we're probably not used to that. But if you want to be a successful club, January is a busy month. Yeah. And we want it to be busy next year and the year after and whatever. It's certainly going to be for Champions League. But listen, I totally agree with what Laurie's saying. It weren't a great performance, but I think you look at the context of the games, we haven't had a Accrington Stanley or a Tamworth or Salford where we can rest and rotate players. We've had to keep the same players going every game. I felt yesterday there was an opportunity to just rest a few players or bring them off and whatever. We've done that, and it was a game where I hear what Laurie's saying, but I don't think we got out of second gear. Yeah, and you just get the job done. It's one of those ones that you'll go, do you remember where you was when we played Dynamo? And you go, no, I don't remember it.
You won't remember the game.
I won't remember the game. No. What day was it?
Yeah.
But listen, you need games like that during the season.
Yeah, for sure you do.
And I'll take another game like that on Saturday, which I bet I won't. It'll be a lot more nerve-wracking and all that. And at the end of the day, let's be really honest. We've all sat there yesterday, comfort. We didn't know. We knew we was never really in danger. They were a poor side, and you don't want to be like watching football like that every week. But every now and then, it's nice to have a game like that.
I think the narrative of Arsenal season has been so stressful and so with every win it feels like something's possible. With every defeat it feels like everything's over. So it's quite nice that the Champions League has been a bit of a formality.
That is a great point, because I think why I'm worried about Wolves, why I was worried about Aston Villa is because it's a must-win game. We can't afford to drop points. If we'd have drawn yesterday, it's not great, but it ain't the end of the world. You know what I mean? And I think that there's been that little thing in the, even in the FA Cup now, like, you know, if you draw, it went straight to penalties. So it wasn't like, oh, we've got a replay. You might be able to get something in the replay. Where it's every game, but you got to win, you got to win, you got to win. And yesterday was a game. Well, you got to win, but if you didn't, you still got another game next week. And listen, if you know, we're virtually through now. So even next week now isn't that high pressure game as it is on Saturday. For me, it's all about Saturday now. To see what we can do.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Wolves. Since they've been in the Premier League and obviously returned under Nuno Espirito Santo, look, they found their feet immediately, and they've been a side that have taken big points off big teams since they arrived through a range of different, you know, managers and ways. But the one thing is that they've always been at Molinuex, especially just tough. Even on the road, they've got, you know, good points at the Emirates. They got a win. Have they won at the Emirates? I'm not sure if they have. They might have done.
Not in recent time.
Fine. They won at the Etihad though. I remember Darwin Traore scoring 2 there. They were and are a team that I know their form okays and all that. But whenever I watch Wolves, I'm largely thinking how they should be higher. I'm just always more even under Gary O'Neill. Every time I tuned into them, I thought there's a good side here. I'm not really quite sure what's going on. How do you feel about us travelling to Wolves, the Molineux trip in general, and what Arsenal should expect on the weekend?
Yeah, so, you're right. Wolves they're one of those teams that they do have a performance in them. And they should be, what are they, 17th in the table? So they're fighting for their lives. You would have thought, given some of the players that they've got. I mean, you mentioned Cunha earlier, they've got Strand Larsen, they've got Lamina. They've got a few good players. Bellegrade is another one.
Ait-Nouri, big fan of him.
Ait-Nouri, they've got some decent players. So I would imagine that the fans are very disappointed at being in 17th. I think their last home win was against Man United, wasn't it? When the manager took over.
Cunha scored directly from the corner, didn't he?
That's right. So we
That's
know that they've
why
got.
We want him.
We know that they've got a performance in them.
In you come.
And I've been to Wolves a few times, as I'm sure you guys have, and you guys will attest to this. It can be quite an atmospheric ground. The fans do. It's one of them close-knit grounds, isn't it, where the fans really get involved.
There's a unique placement for the away fans.
Yeah, that's why
across the side of the pitch. Yeah.
So that you don't get an atmosphere from the away end.
It's very clever.
Very clever. But it's very atmosphere for all around the other parts of the ground. But you can't, because you've got like this length.
That's right.
It's very, very difficult to get an atmosphere going. And listen, I don't think, for all the times that I've gone to Wolves, I don't think I've ever sat there in a comfort zone. Yeah. I think it's always been a very, very difficult game. I remember we're losing there 3-0 at one stage, not long ago. Like,
under Emery, I think. I
think was it
Socrates might have pulled one back. Yeah,
was it? And I remember it was a poor performance. Yeah. And the last few games that we've gone there, and this is what I was, trying to allude over the last couple of days. I think we've gone to Wolves over the last couple of seasons with better attacks, better, stronger attacking units, and found it very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, like last season it was, I think we got a goal in the second half and it was tense. I remember like the season before was the one game, just before the World Cup, and we won 2-0 here. I think Odegaard both, yeah. But it was a tense game, and we was really on. Do you remember, free flowing, on fire then? Never an easy place to go to. And I call me negative, call me whatever. I fear these guys. I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a
as I said,
game.
They're fighting for their lives, aren't they? I don't think they'll go down, but they're in trouble, man. So I expect them to put in a performance. The new manager, I've been doing a bit of reading up on him. Apparently, he likes his defensive structures. He likes discipline. He likes organisation. It would appear he's fallen out with a few of the players since he's gone there. So he seems like quite a, sort of narky type of manager to play for. So I would imagine, listen, they are going to provide some resistance. The one thing I would definitely say, without any shadow of a doubt, there will be a much stronger opposition for us Dynamo Zagreb
Sure.
yesterday.
Which is why I didn't mind the Zagreb game feeling like it was a bit in second gear. But you're right about Wolves. I mean, because actually, when you look at our recent record, I think Arteta's won 3 or 4 of his trips there out of 5 or something. I remember we lost when David Luiz got that stupid red card, which I thought was so harsh.
I remember that.
And they got that penalty to pull it level. But we were cruising in that first half. The season before that, Bukayo Saka got his first goal in what I think was a 2-0 win, if I remember rightly. Since then, Gabriel, I think, got a goal in a 1-0 win, went down to 10 men. Martinelli.
That was a Martinelli game, yeah.
Year after that, you're right, the 2 goals for the World Cup. Martinelli goal, really well worked goals.
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira having his part to play in that game. And then last season, more in the run-in this was, and we were just on the back of losing to Villa and Bayern Munich, I think it was, yeah. And Trossard pulls out a marvellous finish, kind of similar to the one at Everton where, you know, there's kind of little backlift, little to work with, but he just made that right contact to find that area goal that keeper can't get anywhere near. That was 1-0 till the 92nd minute, and Ødegaard puts away for 2-0. So what's interesting is Arsenal have actually kept quite a few clean sheets there, but it's so funny because I don't go there with immense confidence. I just know what clubs have suffered when they travel to Molineux, and I know that when we have got these wins, especially these last 3 in a row, they still have been hard work.
Hard work, yeah.
A moment of magic or a great goal or a late goal. It's taken something quite special to win at Wolves.
Yeah,
I think they've won something like Arsenal have won 8 out of their last 10 at Wolves. But then, like you guys said, that doesn't belie the fact that they've always been quite tough games.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, you know, listen, we've done well. You expect Arsenal to win this game, but I remember going there a couple of years ago when we was flying over bottom of the league. And it was tough, and people are going, "Oh yeah, we'll win 3-4-0 here and whatever." We might do, but I've
that was
not
just
seen
before
it.
they brought in Lopetegui, the World Cup one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it was hard. It was a tough game.
It was a tough game. You know what I mean? Like, I've never gone there, you know, and thought it's been a stroll.
Yeah.
I've all you know, we've gone to places like Sheffield United last season, West Ham, and you sat there and thought, wow, this is nice. I've enjoyed it here, like, you know what I mean. But the 2 grounds that I find that we've always been difficult, and that is Nottingham Forest for obvious reasons. They're a good side, but even when we've won there, it's been tough. And this one has always been a tough ask, and you know, I don't know if it is because of the ground and whatever, and things
they've had
like
quality players. I mean, they came up with João Neves in their team, Raul Jimenez, Pedro Neto eventually came through, Adama Traore. Yeah. They've had some real quality players, and one that is so good that even we're looking at him is Matheus Cunha.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a lot of, like, let's call it fluff, you know, in terms of, sure, he's been playing really well for Wolves this season, and his numbers are really good, but the situation with the contract, Arsenal potentially interested. No, then we hear that he's going to be signing a new contract. That's all a deal. That's all agreed. Deal ready to go, but he hasn't signed it. And some rumours, reports, ITKs, all that are saying that it's because he's waiting for the Arsenal thing. Now, some Wolves journalists, I think, have come out and said, look, it's no guarantee that he's actually going to stay beyond this window. And then, obviously, there was a thing with the manager that you corrected me on, that he did clap the away fans, but obviously there was criticism that perhaps he hadn't. Now, what are we going to be getting from Cunha this weekend if he plays, which I assume he will? Well, I mean, there's no chance he doesn't, right? The manager's not going to go, oh, your head's not in it, and pull him out of this.
Well, he could do.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think they're in a fight. I think you've got to get your best players out there. And if he stays, that's such a bad look for him. And the Wolves fans won't like it to go, hold on, you didn't play against the team you thought you might be joining when we're in a relegation battle.
I think the manager will engage in some kind of reverse psychology. I think you want him to play. Because let's be honest, Cunha, there's extra motivation. I think A, they'll play him because, let's face it, he's their best player. Yeah. And they're in a desperate situation. So managers, that's how they think. I just need to get points. And B, from Cunha's perspective, there's the extra motivation. You know Arsenal are interested. Yeah. What better time to shine than against Arsenal in a game like this? Then obviously the fans and everybody say, yeah, get him. We need to sign him. So he's going to come motivated. I'm 100%. Whether he'll...
I think he plays, and I think he'll be on fire. I think he'll want to make a point.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I agree with that. But there could be also the other thing is like that he's you know, body language weren't great. He's been said, like, you know, and he's not going to be bothered. We don't know what's going on in training. He could be just walking around. That happens. Don't think that it don't. You know what I mean? Like when someone wants away and all that, like, you know, I've been at clubs where when a player wants away, and
You speaking from personal experience?
no, I've never. It's never happened with me. Like, but you know, like, we had a player that played for wanted to go somewhere else. He was on a year's contract with an obligation of another, you know, and the club. He didn't want to take it up, and the club did. So he has to stay for that year, and he wanted to go somewhere else, and in training and he just didn't want to know.
Down tools.
He just and at the end of the day, you're having a go, and he just turned round and said, "F you, I don't want to be here." You know what I mean? Like, he's got a better offer, he's got more money to go somewhere. I don't want to be here, right? So at the end of the day, you know, it is a difficult situation, and the thing is with it also is if it's the club you want to go to, you don't want to really wreck them.
I don't know.
I mean? Like,
you want to show those fans, and
you could be playing for Arsenal.
You want to put in such a performance. I would have thought anyway. This would be how I'd be thinking. If I'm Cunha, I'm thinking I want to play Saturday. I want to do really well. I want to score, because that could be my prospective next employer, and I want to show them just how good I am.
Why didn't he do it against Chelsea then?
No, he's not really been linked with Chelsea, has he?
Yeah, but you think yourself
Actually,
right.
has recently, but you're right. I think
Play
it's
well
more
against
that
Chelsea.
You could have just had a bad game. Here's how I think of it. All this could be true. I think he pushed had a bad game against Chelsea, couldn't get into it, and he's going to want to prove a point in front of Mikel Arteta. I don't think there's any better audition if that's what he wants to do, if we're to believe the reports. I also think, you know, he will have affection for his teammates, for the club he plays for, and he'll probably think, you know, there's a professional pride, and there might be a love for Wolves where he goes, I'm just going to give my all while I'm still wearing that shirt. I mean, behind the scenes, you could be saying to your agent, try and make that move happen. But while I'm here, I'm doing my best. And, you know, that's how all players should be. It's, you know, do what you've got to do away from the pitch to try and get me that move. But while I'm wearing the shirt, I'll do my best. And that's what I'm expecting from Cunha. I also don't think Arteta would want a player who didn't have that kind of mentality. See, the Trossard stuff, because you mentioned Trossard, that had gone wrong long before Arsenal, I think, got involved. You know, there was contract stalling. He'd actually been taken out of the team for others. He'd actually been dropped because of performance, whatever. And Arsenal saw a bit of a market opportunity. That's why it cost 27 million. The contract situation, he wasn't playing as much. Cunha's different. Cunha's like a key player for them. And I don't think his contract's even running out soon. It's just that he's been offered a new one. So I think that's why he probably has to wrestle it a little bit if he wants to get out.
I get that, but there's an history of it. Aubameyang, you know what I mean? Like, caused a few problems at Dortmund to get to Arsenal. Like, it does.
But again,
happen.
was there problems before Arsenal came in?
There's always there can be always problems. But like, I think if you're Cunha, you're at Wolves, you're happy. You know what I mean? Like, everything's going all right. You're playing really, really well. And then a club like, listen, it's not like, he's picked up the paper and Arsenal are in for you. There's things going on with agents and all that. Look, Arsenal. All of a sudden you think, like, hold on a minute, I've got a chance to go and play Champions League and all that, and you're denying me this now. Like, you know, it can cause problems. You know what I mean? So,
well, we're seeing that at Liverpool with Trent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, once Real Madrid come snooping around, they normally get their man.
Anybody. It can happen to Harry Kane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, happened with Harry Kane. It happens with all players.
And I would say as well, we spoke about this off camera, but I've described the January market is one of those disaffected markets. So what you tend to get is quite a few players, not all obviously, but quite a few players that move in the January window. Let's be honest, it's because they've fallen out.
Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned two prime examples there, Arsenal ones, Trossard, Brighton, Aubameyang, Dortmund. When we got those guys, could argue Ozil as well. When we got those players, it's because they were disaffected at their clubs for whatever reason. So we know that these things do happen.
And don't forget, like, there is that thing when players, like, if they come service requirements, they're treated harshly. Like, you know what I mean? It happens with players at Arsenal. Whether you got a contract and all that, like, well, we don't want you no more, so you're going. So it works both ways.
Oh,
you know
I
what I mean? Like,
agree.
obviously, like, if you know, there's a chance for him to go on, and listen, he might have come to Wolves under the thing of, like, you know, this is a stepping stone for me to move on to bigger and better things. And now you're stopping me from doing that. I don't know. You know, there's loads of things that can go on in a game, and if the worst thing for him, if it is Arsenal and they are really in for him, is to be playing Arsenal. It's the worst thing, because at the end of the day, if he scores 2 goals and we lose, he's actually ruining the chance of the title. So I don't really know.
I tend to think that I think he'll be looking at that game with a certain relish about it. Don't you think?
I agree.
I think he'll be looking at that game thinking, listen, man, if I play really well in this game, if I score or impact the game in a very positive way, that can only be good for him. Because let's face it, he's probably already fallen out with the Wolves fans anyway, so he's probably thinking ahead. But I would say on that as well.
If he hasn't, he'll be giving his all for them, which is what they want. I think
exactly. Yeah.
I think everything for the Wolves side of things, for the potential Arsenal side of things, for if there's even a transfer to be done, and he needs to be in good form for whatever it is. I think he will turn up and give his best. I've no doubt. Let's get some predictions in, Lee.
I've gone for Arsenal. I think 1-0.
Yeah, I thought 1-0 forever. And
yeah, you know what? I predicted on the watch along we did yesterday 1-0, but then since then I've gone home and given it some more thought. I'm still going for the Arsenal win, but I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because, like we just said, I think Cunha's going to be extra motivated. I was going to say as well, we shouldn't forget the striker they got up top, Strand Larsen, good player. He scored.
A handful.
He is. He scored. I think
lots
he scored
of good players. I really like a lot of that Wolves team, but
I think he's got 7 Premier League
I
goals this
wouldn't be
season.
surprised. Look, listen, if Arsenal draw on Saturday, it ain't a shot. Like, you know what I mean? Do you know what? Like, I thought we'd beat Villa, but I always had in the back of my mind that this could be a draw, and it turned out to be a draw. I'm not convinced by Arsenal's attack. I'm not. If we go toe to toe with most teams like before, I'd fancy us. I think if we go toe to toe with teams now, and I include Wolves in this at this moment in time, I don't think we've got the power. I think Wanyeri coming back is a big plus for us.
I agree.
I was encouraged by the amount of minutes he played, which makes me...
it makes you think he's going to play Saturday. I do.
Well, we're going to do a Predict 11 video, actually, so let's go and predict that now in the next video. Go look out for that on AFTV. But the predictions are in. 2-1, 1-0, 1-0. Tight wins for Arsenal going forward. No one's expected to be easy. What do you make of Matheus Cunha? What's the narrative going into this game? We'd love all your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to AFTV. We'll catch you very soon.